Thank you very much, and thank everybody for being here. I'm just really excited to be able to be here and share with you what I can share with you today. You know, I've already learned a lot this morning. Is anybody else? Yeah. And I can't wait for the rest of the day because I think I'm going to go home with a long list of things I want to change. Anybody else? Even one? Okay. So let's talk about change because that's what it's about. You know, if we want to implement anything we've heard already or anything we hear this afternoon, it is about change. Unfortunately, statistics show us that the majority of us, even when we're faced with the dire need to change, we won't. Isn't that sad? You know, luckily, I came across, and you might have heard this saying before, change or die. You may have ever heard that? I was there. You know, 8 years ago, I was told I had a life-threatening disease. And if I didn't change my life, I wouldn't be here. And it was all due to work stress. And how sad is that? Because I am a reforming workaholic, truly, you know, but I allowed other people, along with myself, and really it's my responsibility, to not be in control and to not be able to handle what I needed to handle, or to say no when I needed to say no. So we want to talk about change, and I don't know if you've ever heard this statement. You know, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting different results. If we want different results, we have to change. So let's take a little bit of, today I'm going to offer you 3 strategies to increase your productivity, because I help people ignite their productivity so that they can do more with less effort and less stress, and be able to have time with family, or to just enjoy what they do a little bit more. So we're going to talk about knowing what we need to change. We're going to talk about believing that we can do it, because it is about the mindset, which you're hearing a lot about today. And then also the doing. Okay? So let's take a little bit of inventory. I want you to think for a minute and think about those things that are working for you, okay? Because we don't want to make large changes for those things that are working. We might want to tweak them a little bit. But a lot of times, somebody will say, oh, this new technology is great, or you know, I just tried this, and we already have something that's working, and we go down that road, and then before we know it, we've lost what was working for us. So just think about those things that are working and tweak those. But I really want you to think about what's not working. So I want you to think about 2 things that zap your productivity on a daily basis. Okay? Everybody got that? Now I want you to share, and we're only going to take a few seconds, I want you to share with the person next to you what those 2 things are. Okay, so does anybody want to share either what their neighbor said, or what, yes? Email. Anybody else had issues with email as a problem in their lives? Okay. Something else? Cluttered desk. Cluttered desk. Anybody else have a cluttered desk? Does that cause them a problem? Okay. Anything else? What else? Distractions. What kind of distractions? Interruptions? Interruptions? Okay. Anything else? Yes. Okay. All right. Yeah. Pardon? Oh, yeah. She said not having a system. Be systematic in what they're doing. Okay, so I'm going to give you, and you have a list, but we're going to talk about the main, what I think is a main productivity zapper, and that is interruptions. Okay? And interruptions can be just those constant projects that are coming. You know, we're downsizing, we have more and more to do. So we're just adding on to our list. It could be that ultimate email, you know, 70 emails a day, just that we send, and then 70 we receive. That is over 2,000 a year. What else do you do 2,000 times a year? What do you do 70 times a day? Anything? What? Exhale? That's about it, is breathing. That is about it. So it's pretty sad that we're going to spend our lives dealing with email, but that is a big interruption. And then the phone calls. There are all the phone calls we have to call, all the people we have to return because we left them a message and we had to leave them a message, and then they call us back and they leave us a message, and it just goes back and forth. And then requests from others. Nobody else gets any requests from others, right? You know, please, will you? Because it's their urgency, it's now your urgency, right? So those are all things that we can, you know, kind of take on. And then we've got the new technology, you know. That has really taken over a lot of our lives and a lot of our time. And then nobody said this one, but meetings. Does anybody have a problem with all the meetings they have to do? And the time it takes? Right. So these are all kind of more tangible, the things that we can kind of feel or look at or handle. But what about those ones that we don't think about so often? The telephone that's ringing down the hall or down the next cubicle that Susan's at, but she's never in there, so her phone's constantly ringing. You know, for some of us, we know that that's bothering us. For others, we're not quite aware. I bet you're going to go back to work on Monday, these things are going to start, oh yeah, that does really bother me and distract me. What about music? I love listening to classical music when I'm working. Or really, I love Kenny G is my favorite. But, you know, it just relaxes me. It keeps me focused and keeps me going. But I have a very good friend, and we were in a workshop together a few months back, and they turned on some really low. I mean, I could hardly hear the music. And she went bonkers. She could not stand it. So it affects us all differently. But we need to know what affects us and what doesn't. And then those irritating things, you know, that grinding voice that someone has, or that person that, you know, the sight of them you can't, you know, stand. We all have those things that kind of bother us. But we don't realize those are distracting us when we're trying to focus and do something that we need to do. And then just those side conversations or people standing out in the hall or walking past your door. My desk used to sit right in front of my door, and every time somebody walked by, I had to look up. I moved my desk from there over to this side of the room. What a world of difference. You know, so we, you know, be more aware of what those distractions are. Some you can control, some you can't. And then, of course, the home office. Who has a home office? Okay, the pets, the laundry, the dishes, and then, oh yeah, mom who calls and says, oh, will you go pick this up for me today, knowing that you're home and have nothing to do. Right? Yes, they don't. They feel you're home, so, you know, your time is their time, right? So those distractions are really a lot. So the second largest productivity zapper that I feel like is clutter, which Carmen already kind of talked about a little bit. You know, and there's a lot of different kinds of clutter. We got physical clutter, all the paper. And I know everybody here has pretty clean desks, but there are some people that have some crazy desks. And then the filing basket that's overloaded, or the stuff that's in the box in front of the file cabinet so you can't even get in to file it. And then you need it, and you can't file it, you can't find it because it's not been filed yet. You know, if we can't find it when we need it, it doesn't have any value. And then you have the overflowing inbox, or just, you know, all the stuff and more stuff that's all around us. Has anybody ever heard out of sight, out of mind? Okay, well, I want you to reverse that. And I want you to think insight in mind. And I think Venus talked about this. You know, it's our mind. Our subconscious mind does not know the difference. When you set something over in this pile and say, oh, I'll do this later, it doesn't know the difference between right now and 2 months from now or 2 weeks from now or 2 days from now. So it's constantly talking to you. Are you going to do me? Hey, don't forget about me. And then you got this one over here talking and then this one. And you think that that's just, you know, what you have to do. But it's talking to you all the time. So if nothing else, put it behind you so that it is no longer talking to you so that you can concentrate and move forward. Another one is digital clutter. Anybody got digital clutter? And digital clutter, we can't find the files we file. And I guess I do have to tell this story. I have a client who was been struggling with her email, and after a year and a half, went through 3 different kinds of programs, technology programs. And then one day she was verbally talking to someone else, and she said, you know, I'm really having these issues. She said, have you bothered to talk to Cathy about that? And of course, her mouth just dropped open, you know. And so we sat down and talked. And what she had was not a technical problem or technology problem. It was a productivity problem. She didn't have a process to handle her email. So she was struggling for a long, long time, not realizing that she had a productivity problem. So of course, technology, if we don't know how to use it or it doesn't work when we need it to use it, that takes some of our time. And then the email. You know, email is awesome. It's a great product. It's a great, you know, technology. We can talk to anyone around the world in seconds. Isn't that amazing? But we were never given the tools or the processes to deal with it. And now we have all this email, and it just keeps on filtering in, but it never seems to go out of that inbox. You know, I know the physics of clutter comes in without any effort on our part, but it doesn't go away without any effort on our part. So then we have the mental clutter. You know, the must do, I need to do, don't forget to do, I should do, you know, I might want to do that, or maybe someday I'll do that. We've got all those things going around in our head. We have 60,000 thoughts that go in our head every single day. And some of those need to be captured. Some of those need to just go away, but some of those need to be captured and dealt with. And then that mindset of, it'll never work. I can't do that. You know, I just can't. I've tried it before. I don't have time. I love that one. I don't have time to get organized. You don't have time not to get organized. You know, but mental clutter really gets to us. And then there's the social clutter. Our friends at work or our coworkers or our partners in crime or whatever, you know, they might be good or they might be those people that we need to talk to Jim about, you know, and have a little bit better relationship with. And then our family, our lack of family time. This is all clutter that affects what we do on a daily basis and how we do it. And then, of course, the fun times. And then there's the financial clutter, the budgeting or lack of budgeting. I think that was discussed about earlier too. The credit cards, the debt, the savings or non-savings that we have, or that raise that we've been wanting, or that income we've been trying to raise our business to the next level. How much of that is taking away from the time? Are you putting actions in place to deal with that? Or are you just letting that go around in your mind and thinking about it? So then we need to think powerfully. You know, we know now what those things are that are affecting us. So, you know, pick one or two of them, but next thing is we got to think more powerfully. It's about the mindset. Are you willing to change when change matters most? Luckily, it took me 2 bouts, but I finally realized change really did matter to me. So it really is, are you willing? Are you willing to do what all those things you're writing down today? Think about it. Is it just a great idea, or am I willing to put in the hard work that it takes to make something different? Because we can't change. We can't implement something if we don't change. So it's about focus. It's about the willingness to put in our time, our effort, and our money, and that's how we get results. So, give you some actions. One is planning, and these are just really some simple things. I'm trying to just give you some simple things that you can implement. Plan the night before. You take 15 minutes the night before and plan for your next day. It will give you 60 minutes of unproductive time. Just by taking that little bit of time to plan and know what the most important thing is today. Has anybody heard of the 20-80 rule? Okay? That 80% of our results come from 20% of our effort. And I can name the 80-20 rule to you so many different ways that you can use it, but I'm going to tell you one. If you work an 8-hour day, and I know all of you only work 6, but 8-hour day, 96 minutes is your 20%. If you take that 96 minutes and you work first thing in the morning, you don't look at your email, you don't answer your phone calls, and you spend that first 96 minutes every morning working on your most important project, you will accomplish what you normally accomplish in a whole day. And if you take that challenge and try it, I'd love to hear your results, because anybody who has and has told me it's made a huge difference in their life. So something that simple. But again, it's are you willing? And then your calendar. Who uses a calendar? How many use 2 calendars? How many use 3 calendars? How many use 4 calendars? Oh, we only got 3? Okay, I've had as many as 5. Scary. Okay, you have one life, one calendar. Okay, now I will admit, I have a paper calendar and I have electronic, but at the end of the day, they're together. Okay, so for you to be productive, for you to be on top of those things that you need to be on, to take care of your family, to take care of yourself, you need to know where you're supposed to be and when you're supposed to be there. Okay? If it requires a time, a date, or more than an hour, it needs to be on your calendar. And a timer. God, I can tell you how many great ways to do a timer. How many want to write a book in here? I mean, yeah. Get a timer, 15 minutes every day, and set that timer and write that chapter or work on that chapter. Half an hour if you can. But if you use a timer, how many are going to take a 5-minute break and it turns into a 40-minute break? Because we get on that social media stuff, and use a timer. Give yourself that break. Definitely do it, but use a timer to bring you back in. And then, of course, the clean desk. I'm not saying you have to have everything off of your desk, but this is an after picture, let me tell you. But when that stuff is not all in front of you, you can, when somebody interrupts you and you only have one project in front of you, it makes it a whole lot easier to say, you know what, can I get back to you because I really need to finish this up. It's easier after you've been distracted to come back to where you were working instead of picking up something totally different. And then your to-do list. How many have a to-do list? Make sure it's prioritized. So I'm going to ask you a few things. One, how will you change the way you work, live more powerfully? Okay, I want you to turn down the papers that you're writing on so you make sure you come back to these and really look at those lists of all those distractions and pick 1 or 2 you're going to try and make some difference on. Okay, to ignite your performance, minor changes can produce major results. Are you willing to change? when change matters most. I hope you'll come over to the table and talk to me at break. I have a great deal for a great special with my books, and anybody, the first 6 get my new audio on top of it. So thank you very much, and just can't wait for the rest of the day. Thank you.